What is up, YouTube folks, people of the world? Soul Jamesy Poo here. It is Tuesday morning, 6:49, December 1st. This is episode 14.2, week 14, day 2 of my 2-year death grind. I could use the trim on the beard right now. So, yeah, just hanging out. It's my son's birthday today. So I did a whole bunch of stuff for his birthday this morning. I was up at around 3:30, getting things ready. I had to drive all the way across town to not technically I'm licensed in real estate, so I can't steer people, but I had to drive to the ghetto part of town at ungodly hours of the morning to get some balloons inflated. So that was a fun little journey. But yeah, things are going really well. I was going to take a little nap, but I just felt my mind was racing too much. So I was back up at it. I attempted to lay down, but my mind was racing a little too much. So here I am. But yeah, today I mostly just wanted to talk about habits and how important they are. And I probably say this a lot, but they're just super important. Habits are everything. There's that Socrates quote I can never remember. It's that excellence. I gotta Google this. Excellence quote. Habit. Here. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. I mean, Socrates, I used to think back, or I still think all the time, back to these, Roman, Greek philosophers, and just think like, some of the greatest minds and greatest quotes. We had people philosophizing thousands of years ago. Just that's all they did. They sat and they thought about life. And, I'm sure they were business owners or entrepreneurs or, in parliament or whatever it was called at the time. But, they would just sit and think about life. And, Jordan Peterson is like a modern philosopher. But, I can't really think of a whole lot of modern philosophers who their main job is to just sit and think about life. So this is a quote that has stood the test of time, and they knew it thousands of years ago, that excellence is not, God, why can't I remember this quote, man? We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. So excellence isn't an act. It's a habit. And you hear a lot of people talk about overnight success. And I'm sure, you've probably heard like Gary Vee talk about this or whatever, but really there's no such thing as an overnight success. Practice in private, and then, in public, you're like a master or whatever. And it's totally true, because once you go to market, right? Good old example, you're a farm guy, you're growing delicious crops, no one really knows about you, but you show up with a bushel full of corn, and all of a sudden everyone says, hey, James's corn is like phenomenal. I don't know what he's doing, but it's great. So the next time you come back, you got a line, you sell out, you produce more crops, you sell out, you come back and you say, hey, instead of selling corn, 50 cents an ear, now it's $2 an ear. And people are going to pay that price because you practice in private and then bring it to market, a master. And it's just based on habits, right? No one knows you exist. Maybe you've been farming for 10, 20 years and you just finally built the courage up to go sell to market. And the market is always going to reward you in accordance with the value you bring to it. And this all starts with habits. And, habits down to everything, habits down to self-development. Like I said, I believe self-development, more notably, your day-to-day performance is based on, a lot of it is self-development. And I'm not talking about a random day, a random off good day, but I'm talking about a week, a month, years worth of work, how you gauge that metric overall. These are all based on daily disciplines of habit. And you can't have a good year without having many good consecutive days. And you can't have many good consecutive days without being a consistent person. You can't be a consistent person without having consistent habits. And I think this gets overlooked quite a lot, is that, people on the outside look, and, I always say, the one percenters, the 99 look at the 1% like they're this mythical creature or some, they have God-given talent or whatever. And typically the reason the 1% is the 1% is they're willing to do what 99 out of 100 people won't. So, and again, life isn't all about money. To me, the main driving thing is about happiness, joy, and fulfillment. But let's say you had to make money. And so, going back to that, how do you gauge success, blah, 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 blah. Well, let's put the happiness thing aside for right now, even though I believe that's more important than money is. And let's just talk gauging success to monetary value, because most people do. When I go, a good example is when I go into a grocery store, I'm like, there's probably like 100 people in this grocery store, right? I'm 1 out of 100. I will do what 99 of these people will not do. And it's a daily mind habit that I have to repeat to myself. And I'm not going to lie to you, possessing the right mindset and having these daily habits and habitual practices is not easy. Being consistent is probably one of the hardest things in life, especially if you want a high level of performance and to also be consistent. It is not easy. It is very difficult. Consistency in almost anything is difficult, and consistency at a high level is even more difficult. You cannot get there without daily habits. You have to do it day in and day out. And I'm not talking 80% of the time. I'm not talking 90% of the time. I'm talking 99% of the time. Most of the time, I stick to my daily habits. I have coffee at about the same time. I take the same supplements. I eat about the same stuff. I eat at about the same time. I wake up at about the same time, 7 days a week. I stick to the same work schedule. Sundays are a little different because they're my family day. My morning work schedule is still the same, but I stick to the same schedule about 7 days a week. To this right now, I don't really, Thanksgiving was last week, so that's a little bit different, but really I don't cheat on my diet. I used to cheat like once a week and have sugar and stuff. Right now, I just don't do it because I feel like the day after is just not worth it. I'd rather feel good and good about myself 7 days a week than have one day of a mental break. I'd rather go 3-4 weeks on a strict diet and then binge for a couple days and hop back to it, which is a whole nother topic. But I find for me, it just works a lot better that way. So I'm drinking decaf coffee. Get out of here. So habits are really everything. And, I usually say, like, let's say you're in your job right now, or maybe you're just starting out a business or whatever you're doing right now. Maybe you have a family, maybe you don't, it doesn't matter. But typically what I say is, let's say you had to work today. Let's say you had to dedicate 8 to 10 hours of work today. Outside of that, what does a perfect day look like to you? What are all the things you want to get in a day, and build your schedule and your daily habits and routines around that? So for me, it's waking up, it's meditating, it's doing a quick workout to get the blood flowing. I typically do some sit-ups and push-ups. It takes me like 5 to 10 minutes max just to get my blood flowing. Meditate, listen to positive stuff. I do some work. I read about business stuff. I listen to business stuff. And then usually by that time, my family's awake. I hang out with my family, shower, get ready. I go to work, do my work thing. I'll get a workout in there somewhere. And then, it's more family time until I go to bed, and then rinse and repeat. And that's the next day. I listen to music on my drive. I'm a huge audiophile, music freak. I play music when I can. I really try to build out my perfect day. And for me, some of the top priorities in my perfect day are hanging out with family, obviously getting my work stuff done, and working out. those are my three main priorities every single day. And then if I have time or access, I didn't bring any guitars or anything with me right now, then I play music. I write poetry, things like that. And also, like, another big thing. So I guess I would recant the previous statement and amend it to say family, workout, work stuff, meditation, self-development. Those are, like, if I have a day, I have to get those four things in. Like, I will get those four things in. It is a must for me. And habits are difficult, and you have to start with baby steps. So you can't just say, I'm going to go, I eat tons of junk food today, tomorrow I'm going to eat super clean. That is not the way to do it. And I always say you have to judge yourself as if, when you start, especially with setting up your habits and those other sorts of things, when it comes to like willpower and changing habits right away, you have to tell yourself, I'm the 99 and not the 1%. The 1% you'll get there if you try and you're consistent and you have relentless effort. You will get there. But you can't just say, I'm eating junk food today and then tomorrow it's super clean, right? That is a 1% type mindset that, if you look at 100 people, only 1% of the population is going to have the mindset to actually enact that plan, because it's super difficult. You can't just change habits like that. You can't do that overnight. And also the mindset it possesses to go from 0 to 100 is insane. It's 1% of the population, right? I don't judge myself that way. If I have terrible habits about something, I can't just say, oh, tomorrow I change and I'm good forever. No, I gauge myself like I'm the 99 and I suck, and I'm going to try to set up a slow build until I get the habits I want to be at. That's where most people fail, because consistency is the key to most everything. If you want to be in shape, if you want to be happy, if you want to be financially successful, if you want a good family life, consistency is the key to everything. The more consistent you can be to go in the trajectory you want, to move the needle forward, the better off you'll be, even if you have to take slower steps. Because I'd rather take, if you look at someone who's a super high performer, but they're really inconsistent, if they have 1 or 2 productive days out of the week, I would rather take someone who does decent 7 days of the week, right? Because that person's so inconsistent. And the consistency of action, the consistency of habits and disciplines, that's what is going to propel someone on a trajectory. And you could take that person who's not a high performer and tweak and tweak and tweak while they work at their habits, so they work at their daily disciplines and practices, and then they're ultimately going to outperform that person from sheer consistency, right? High performers are always going to be high performers, but inconsistent people have inconsistent actions and they have inconsistent results, which results in inconsistent success, right? That's why some people have good years and bad years, and they go back and forth, and they're ups and downs. And, this year I'm doing really good, but last year I didn't do so good. And next year now I'm in debt, right? That's the power of consistency. And consistency is everything, along with daily habits and disciplines. So I think that's it for today. Moral of this story is you have to be habitually driven. You have to have habits, daily disciplines, 7 days a week. I'm a firm believer. If you can't do that, commit to 3, commit to 5, commit to 2, commit to 1, commit to something, and then do a slow build until you get there. Start in baby steps. You can't go from 0 to 60, right? If you're not there today, you cannot get there tomorrow, but you can in a month, a year, a few weeks, a couple years, 5 years, 10 years. You have to think long-term with your habits and do a slow build until you get there. You have to say you're the 99 when it comes to these habits, because you're not the 1% there, but you will get there. So a good example is in fitness. You're 100 pounds overweight. You can be in stellar shape. You can have a 6-pack. You can do 10, 20 pull-ups. You can do whatever you want. You just can't do that tomorrow. In a year, in 5 years, for sure. You have to start with a slow, consistent build of daily habits and disciplines and practices to get you there over the long term. So think long term when it comes to these habits. That is it for now. gonna go take a shower and hopefully my baby start waking up. It's 7 o'clock right now. Have a good day. Be wonderful humans out there. This is decaf coffee. Don't judge me. Be good. Be good humans. Bye-bye.